I'm all ears, sir.
Okay. The topic is forensic case analysis. Forensic case analysis. Forensic case analysis is the process of collecting and analyzing evidence found at crime scene using scientific processes and methods. And the primary purpose of this is to provide evidence about a suspicious or questionable incident using scientific processes and methods. Are you with me, sir?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Forensic case analysis can involve question document examination or firearm investigation, tool mark impression, trace evidence, fingerprint identification and analysis, footwear and tire track examination, and so on and so forth. So each of these areas of forensic science has its own set of tools and techniques for collecting and analyzing evidence. Forensic case analysis involves a series of steps that we follow to ensure that evidence is collected, analyzed, and presented in a court in a manner that is reliable and accurate. We are going to mention some of these steps. Can you see my screen, sir?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
But it's not bold.
Okay. Let me try to increase it.
Okay.
So the step involved in forensic case analysis can vary depending on the type of evidence being analyzed. For example, if it is a fingerprint, that will be different. If it is a DNA, if it is a firearm impression, if it's a evidence trace evidence, it will depend on the type of evidence that we want to analyze. So here are some general steps that are typically followed, and that is what you have on the screen. The first thing is to recognize, not recognized. Can you hear me, sir?
Yes, sir, I'm hearing you.
Okay. This is recognize the need, not there's no D there. This D is supposed not to be there.
Okay, recognize the need.
Yes, recognize the need. The first step is to recognize the need. In this initial step, the problem is identified. Generally speaking, a crime has occurred and its root cause need to be determined, so responsibility can be established and similar incident can be prevented. So the first thing is to recognize the need. So after recognizing the need and we have established that that crime has occurred, then the next thing is to know the root of it, the root cause of it, and to determine the responsibility and and to establish how similar incidents will not occur again. So the first thing is to recognize the need in case analysis. Recognize the need. That is, yes, a crime has occurred. We must be able to establish that a crime has occurred. Then the next step is to define the problem. Define the problem. This second step is where an action plan is developed to remedy the problem. Simply put, an investigation commences with planned steps needed to solve the established problem. That's the second step. And the third step is to collect data. Collect data. In the third step, data is collected. It is critical here that all available data be collected prior to the data analysis and hypothesis development. Any premature analysis and hypothesis development could bias the end result. So we must make sure that all data are collected before any analysis. If not, we may run into a mistake. So before you develop any hypothesis, the best thing is to collect all the data. So the third step is data collection or collect data. Then we move to the fourth stage or the fourth step, analyze the data. The first step is analyze the data. Once all the data has been collected, the first step can now begin. That is, the data is analyzed to identify patterns, trends, and other relevant information. So after the data might have been analyzed, then we move to the next stage or the next step, which is develop hypothesis. We have to develop hypothesis. Based on the analysis of the data, hypotheses are developed to explain the patterns and trends observed. Then after that one, we move to the next one, which is the sixth stage or step, known as a test hypothesis. Now we have developed hypothesis. The next thing is to test the hypothesis, whether we are on the right path or not. So in this step, the hypotheses are tested to determine their validity. This may involve additional data collection or analysis. And the last step is draw conclusion. The last step or last stage is to draw conclusions. Based on the result of the testing, conclusions are drawn. These conclusions are then presented in a court of law as evidence. So it is presented as evidence in the court of law. Now, let's move to the next thing, the linkage theory. The linkage theory. I believe you can see my screen.
Yes, sir.
Now, there are four key components. Four key components in a crime scene investigation. The first is suspect. The first component is suspect. Second one is crime scene. Then third one, victim. Then the third one is physical, and the fourth one is physical evidence. Fourth one is the physical evidence. I said we have four key components in a crime scene investigation, namely suspect, victim, scene, and evidence. So there are four of them. When linkages between these components is established, a case can easily be solved. And that theory says that the more linkages established, the greater the probability of solving an investigation. Excuse me. The more linkages established, the greater the probability of solving an investigation. Then these linkages are physical linkages. The linkages are physical linkages. These are physical objects that can be linked to the crime scene, such as fingerprint, DNA evidence, or footprint, and so on and so forth. So all those forensic evidence is what we mean by physical linkages. So another linkage is associative linkages. Associative linkages. These are objects that are not directly linked to the crime scene, but can be associated with it, such as weapons found at the crime scene or a getaway car that is found whether at the crime scene or near the crime scene. So this is associative leakages. Then we have another form of leakage that we call sequential leakages. Sequential leakages. These are events that occur before, during, or after the crime that can be linked to it, such as the victim's movement or the suspect's escape route. So this kind of movement can be is known as a sequential leakages. Sequential leakages, that is movement either of the victim or of the suspect. Then the last one is testimonial leakages. These are statements made by witnesses or suspects that can be linked to the crime scene or that can be used to corroborate whatever hypothesis that you have developed. Now, this four-way leakage theory is a useful tool for crime scene investigators because it helps to identify and collect evidence that can be used to reconstruct the crime and identify the perpetrator. However, there are some disadvantages to this theory, and these disadvantages are: number one, it can be difficult. Let me enlarge the screen. Number one, it can be difficult to identify all of the leakages at a crime scene. Some leakages may be very subtle or may be overlooked by investigators. That is the first one. The second one is the leakages may not always be reliable because of contamination, or at times witnesses may be mistaken or intentionally misleading the investigator. And thirdly, the theory does not take into account the role of human error in the crime scene investigation. Investigators may make mistakes that can lead to the misinterpretation of evidence or the identification of the wrong suspect. The case leakage. Case leakage. Case leakage is forensic crime scene investigation. Are you with me, sir?
Yes, I'm listening, sir.
Okay. Case leakage in forensic crime scene investigation involves the process of identifying connections between different crime scenes based on forensic evidence. This approach aims to determine if multiple crimes are linked to the same perpetrator or a group of perpetrators. So by the time we analyze different evidence from different crime scenes, it is possible for us to link the two together. It is possible for you to know whether the same perpetrator involved in the first and the second or in multiple crime scene that we are investigating. So forensic evidence such as DNA, fingerprint, ballistic, and trace evidence can provide valuable clues for establishing connections between seemingly unrelated crimes. So forensic case leakage often involve the following steps that you have on the screen. The first one is evidence collection. Forensic investigators collect and analyze evidence from crime scene, including biological samples, such as DNA, then fingerprints, firearms, and other trace evidence. That's the first one, evidence collection. Then second one is comparative analysis. Forensic experts compare the collected evidence from different crime scenes to look for similarities in the forensic profiles. For example, the DNA profile may be compared to identify matches between different cases. So if we are able to get matches between two crime scenes, we can say that the same person or the same perpetrator that got involved in one crime scene is also involved in the other one. So comparative analysis will help us to match some identify evidence in two crime scenes. Now, the third stage is a pattern analysis. Yes. Pattern analysis. Investigators look for patterns in the forensic evidence, such as similarities in the type of weapon used, the modus operandi of the perpetrator. At times you see some criminals, some after maybe they are court member or it's just a single person that is just killing people serially. After killing his victim, may mark him with may mark the body with a certain mark, may give him certain mark or a symbol. So if you see the same symbol or the same mark on a dead body in a crime scene, and you see the same thing in another victim on another victim in another crime scene, that one is showing that the same person or the same group of people are behind these two crimes. So another thing, the fourth one is database searches, where we have database, because it's not every nation of the world now that you have an established database for crime data. But in a case where you have database, then you have to use database searches. Forensic databases are used to search for matches or similarities in forensic profiles. Because what really happens in database is this: wherever there's a suspect in some nations of the world, wherever there's a suspect, what they do is that suspect or that convicted criminal they will register him in a crime database, where all his data will be recorded, like the fingerprint, the face, the picture, and so many other things. But in some other nations of the world, because of the law that they follow, they may just give, they may be ordered that every citizen, if you are coming to do anything with the government, they must take your fingerprint or your DNA profile. So as you have it in Canada, but in places like US, it is when there's a suspect, when you are suspected of any crime, or maybe you have been convicted, then your profile may be taken. But in our nation here, where things are we are still a developmental stage, then it is we don't have a database for robust. Let me say robust one, because I know that the CID at Abuja, they are now developing database for crime, but that one is just at a very developmental stage. So the fourth one is database. The fourth one is a collaborative efforts. Collaborative efforts. That is working together. Collaborative efforts. Collaboration between forensic laboratories. Criminalists. That the criminalists are people that are working, the people that are working, the forensic practitioners that you go to crime scene to obtain evidence. So collaboration between criminalists, between laboratories, between law enforcement agencies is essential for sharing information and coordinating efforts to establish case leakages. At times, a laboratory there are some laboratories that may just be established purposely for a single case, like a fingerprint. Maybe it's a fingerprint laboratory. It's possible that they have worked in that laboratory and they have established a fingerprint of a criminal on a crime scene. In another laboratory where their own is just DNA, it is possible to, where if they collaborate, to detect that the same person that deposited, the same criminal or the same suspect that deposited a fingerprint in a crime scene is the same criminal that deposited, that we've lifted his DNA in another crime scene if there's collaboration. So collaboration effort will help case leakages. So by identifying connections between crime scenes through forensic evidence, investigators can build a comprehensive picture of criminal activities and potentially link multiple crimes to the same perpetrator. This approach is crucial for solving complex cases, apprehending serial offenders, and preventing future criminal acts. This is where we are going to stop this evening on this
Okay.
topic. And we have only one
Thank
topic
you.
left. So the next topic
Okay.
is on the court. It's on the court issues concerning
Okay.
this topic. This course. So we have only one topic. That one will come up on Monday, by the grace of God.
Okay.
By Monday.